It's that time of year, list time! This is the best shows and movies I watched in 2023, as recorded by Track.tv. Track.tv is a site that, you guessed it, tracks your viewing habits and offers suggestions based on what you watch and or rated highly. To be clear, these aren't the best releases of 2023. These are the best things I watched in 2023. So without further ado, here are my best shows and movies of 2023. Number 12, Existence. I saw this one for the first time in school and I was blown away. Every couple of years I get the urge to watch it again. For some reason, I get scenes from this mixed up with Minority Report. If you thought The Matrix was a mind bender, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is another Cronenberg film, so of course the effects are great and disgusting. You can almost feel the infection, and the ending leaves you with more questions than answers, but in a good way. If you're a fan of the only The Matrix movie, you should watch Existence. Number 11, RoboCop. What else can be said about this classic? If you get further into this video, you'll see why I watched this again. I've probably seen it 20 times. There's very little to improve upon with this film, so I'm not even sure why they remade it in 2014, and I'm not sure why there's rumours of another remake closer to the original. Such a quotable movie with many classic scenes. The effects work is a masterclass, the score is genius. Tell me something about this movie that sucks. The only flaw is the disappearing neck of RoboCop's costume when he removes his helmet. But even then it only takes it from an 11 down to a 10. Number 10, The Fly. I saw this movie when I was a wee nipper, probably 10, and it scared the bejesus out of me. I haven't watched it since. Well, that all changed recently and I enjoyed what I saw. I'm talking about Cronenberg's The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. Oh boy, I just love the transformation into Brundlefly. It also has a bit of side boob if you like Gina Davis, but way more gold butt. I remembered the gore in this to be more horrific than it actually is. As an adult, I can clearly see the tricks they use, the false teeth, the bodysuits, the rotated room. But the story is still as good as ever and I just love the look of those pods. Number 9, Ricky Gervais' Supernature. Not much to say about stand-up comedy specials. It's a guy on stage telling funny stories. But this was one of the few times this year I found myself actually laughing out loud, rather than just exhaling from my nostrils more forcefully than normal. I've recommended this to friends and family, and they've all agreed it was very funny. Look, you're an adult. You know who Ricky Gervais is. I don't have to tell you if you enjoy it, you know already. And if you think you would like to go see it, it's brilliant. Looking forward to his next one, Armageddon, Christmas Day. Number 8, Arnold. A brilliant 3-part documentary about the life and career of the Austrian oak. Yes, I'm talking about Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger. From his childhood home through his army service and on to fame and fortune. An intimate look into his life and his thoughts. I dropped this down a few points as it does feel a bit self-promotional. It seems to skip over his failures and concentrate on his successes. But if you're a fan of Arnie in general, you'll enjoy this look into his life. Number 7, Galaxy Quest. If you haven't seen the comedy classic Galaxy Quest, stop this video. Drop everything and go watch it right now. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman are all fantastic as the stars of a cancelled Star Trek-style sci-fi show. The struggling actors are relegated to the convention circuit. Remember, this was made in the 90s when the conventions were tiny fan-run events held in hotel ballrooms. Only Tim Allen's character enjoys it, as his ego is stroked by the adoring fans. They soon get a chance to reprise their roles in the opportunity of a lifetime. The effects on this movie are great, worthy of a real sci-fi TV show. The acting is brilliant, really selling themselves as washed-up actors out of their element. You'll find yourself cheering. This is one of my once-a-year movies. Love it. Number 6, RoboDoc. This was a fantastic 3-part documentary on the making of RoboCop. It could have been higher on my list, but some of the footage was stuff I'd already seen, so I'm deducting a point. It makes sense though. Some of the people who worked on RoboCop are sadly no longer with us. Some great animation to bring life to some of the storytelling. It was a really good insight into the struggles of making one of my favourite movies of all time. Number 5, Severance. Severance is a bit of a mind bender. It's hard to say that I liked it, it's more that I'm intrigued by the concept. People take on a job with a secretive organisation that goes to massive lengths to keep their intellectual property secret. Their work is obscured by so many layers of encryption that they don't actually know what they're doing. They have a screen full of numbers, and they have to group them according to feelings. Like, a certain group of numbers might feel scary or happy, so they get separated. But the biggest mind bender is the eponymous procedure called separation, where your mind is divided in two. Your normal mind is outside of work, and once you enter work, an entirely separate mind takes over. To the point where the innie, the mind inside the workplace, knows nothing about the outie. They don't even know whether they're married, have kids, have hobbies, nothing. But the real twist is that as soon as they leave work, they're right back in again. They have no knowledge of the outside world. Season 1 is a bit low on the list because it ended just as they were really starting to explore the ramifications of the whole concept, but never actually sunk their teeth into it. Hopefully Season 2 does a better job. Number 4. Star Trek Picard. After the disastrous first 2 seasons, Picard is abandoned by Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman, and dumped on the front porch of Terry Matalas, who abandons the woke garbage and gets back to the core of Star Trek. Good stories and smart people. Almost all of the new characters are gone from season 1 or 2, save for Raffi, who may be the worst of them all, but small mercies. We get introduced to Captain Liam Shaw, who comes across as a bit of a jerk, but then you realise, no, he's just doing what a good captain would do. It gets a bit too fan servicey for my tastes at the end, but at least their actions mostly make sense. Oh, and they need to have Data as a brain in a jar instead of trying to explain why a robot is going grey and getting fat. Number 3. The Last of Us. I've never played the video games as I'm not a console peasant, but the peasantry has told me that The Last of Us is one of the best narrative-driven games out there. After watching the show, I'm inclined to agree. With all his spare time from avoiding the Mandalorian set, Pedro Pascal has had time to jump into the shoes of Joel, a regular dude who gets caught up in a worldwide zombie pandemic. He's tasked with escorting Ellie, a young girl who is apparently immune to the disease, across the country to a medical facility for testing. Along the way, Joel loses loved ones, but comes to value those who were physically close to him. There was a bit of a stir around episode 3 as there was a focus on a couple of gay men. Now, it was okay, maybe a bit confronting to see actually romantic men instead of the usual lust-driven archetypes, but it was a good episode. The only issue I had was that it made the main plot come to a screeching halt. It should have been a special episode outside the series proper, not a detour after all the setup is done in episodes 1 and 2. Game of Thrones' Bella Ramsey played Ellie, and I thought she was just okay. Some say she was brilliant, but I feel she has very little range, and the character of Ellie kind of suits that, as she does a lot of moping and staring into the distance. Perfect for Bella, but not really an acting tour de force. Number 2. Invincible. As a fan of the comic series, I was excited for the television adaptation. Season 1 was great and delivered the action and gore in spades. The first episode became a cultural touchstone for its violent ending, and the series spawned multiple memes. Think, Mark, that's the neat part, you don't. And look what they have to do to mimic a fraction of our power. Season 2 is disappointingly split with a mid-season break after 4 episodes. This is part of the reason it's at number 2. The other is the lull during episodes 2 and 3, where we focus more on interpersonal drama and moping around. Episodes 1 and 4 are terrific though, and have me more than ready for the conclusion in 2024. The worst part is that Season 3 won't be out late 2024 by the looks of things. Number 1. House of the Dragon. After Season 8 of Game of Thrones, I laughed at the idea of a continuation of the spin-offs. How wrong I was. This show has intrigue galore. Characters to hate, characters to love. Even the characters you hate, you still understand their motivations. It's good to see Rhysio fans back again. Matt Smith is great as Daemon Targaryen, although the name is a bit on the nose. The incest subplots are a bit awkward, but understandable considering the subject matter. But my hat really has to come off for Paddy Considine, who was brilliant as Viserys Targaryen. I believed he was an old man, not just a young man acting. Fantastic stuff. The sets, the VFX, the sound, the music were all spectacular. There was some controversy with the House Valerian being black actors, but I never read the books, so it was water off a duck's back for me. I thought they were fine, though I can understand the hesitation some people feel when this kind of thing is revealed, as race or gender swapping characters seems to have become the hallmark of the desperate actions of a struggling production. Rest assured, this is not the case with The House of the Dragon, a highlight of my year and a shame that I did not watch it earlier. The first episode is available free on YouTube if you'd like to check it out, possibly US only. And that's it, my best of 2023. Did they match with yours? Or were yours completely different? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, see you next year.